Hello, Dave.
How how is lockdown for you?
Can I swear?
Not if you can
I don't
help
need
it.
to swear now. Do it now. I said can swear. I think you get the idea.
Yeah, it's. Have you been able to write and do music and do what you like to do, or have you just found kind of anxiety levels or whatever just too high to be cracking on with things?
I've been mixing. I've done 2 mixes for a friend in New York called Zachary, and he's got a project called ZAS. And he's made some videos of the lockdown in Brooklyn, where he lives, and filmed it all, and the music kind of fits it. I've been done a mix for New Order of a track called Be a Rebel that was left off the last album, but it's pretty good, I think. And now I'm doing a remix of my mix, and Steve's doing a mix of it, a remix of the original, and I'm doing a remix of my original.
Right. Okay.
So music is proven to be a bit of a sanctuary, really, because it takes my mind off the fact that there's an invisible wall around everyone. And
yeah. I mean, I think one of the Headstock organisation who are hosting this, one of their things really is how powerful the impact of music can be on giving us a positive well-being, I think. And for me, I mean, obviously I'm not a music maker, but just knowing that every day I can listen to music and I can do mixes, and I think a lot of people have found a lot of solace in music at a time like this.
Well, not just music, but all forms of creativity, I think. Creativity is an escape, and it's a place of solace, really, what you can go to in times of trouble. I remember being, when I was at primary school, when I was a kid, and any time that anything happened that would upset me or I struggled with, I struggled with school a lot. I really struggled with school, and I was given a hard time there. And whenever anything got to me, I would paint or draw. And in this situation, in the lockdown, I find that I don't turn to painting and drawing anymore. My art form has become music. So working on music and get totally ensconced in it and obsessed and absorbed with it, which you have to do to write good music. You can't tickle music. You can't come in and play around with it for an hour and then, go off and do all the stuff. And, you can't play around with it. You've got to be obsessed with it to write good music. But in this situation, it's been a comfort and taken my mind off it, really.
So talking about music, when you, if you could maybe tell us the circumstances that you met Ian in, and also I guess that lads at the age that you were then bonded a lot and still do, and lads and girls of that age bond over the music taste. So if you could tell us maybe a little bit about meeting Ian and the kind of music that you two would be talking about in the very early days of the band.
Well, just met him briefly. We used to go punk gigs a lot, and there wasn't really anything else to do. The clubs were really stiff in those days and played like cheesy disco, crap disco, like commercial pop, like off the radio sort of stuff. But so we were into that, and we wanted something a bit more left field, a bit more underground. So punk came along, and that was the path we chose to follow at that time. And I met Ian and his friend, confusingly called Ian, and we called them the two Ians, and both wore donkey jackets. If anyone still knows what a donkey jacket is. Anyone know what a donkey jacket is? You know what a donkey jacket is, Dave?
I know. Well, I'm only a tiny bit younger than you, Bernard. So
all right, well,
it was a fashion item.
Yeah, well, fashion in inverted commas. They're not very nice. You won't wear one these days, but for some reason they were in then. And I just met them briefly there, and then put an advert in Virgin Records in Piccadilly to try and find a singer. And because I was the only one that had a phone, or my mother had a phone. I lived at home with my mother then. It's only like, I'm not now young, but and I just got a load of idiots ringing up and people who weren't on the same wavelength or crazy or just called up and put the phone down, you know. It's like, Jesus. And it was going on. And then the last phone call I got, I picked it up and I got talking to this guy. I thought, he sounds all right. And he's into the kind of music we're into, the Clash and Sex Pistols and Lou Reed and Iggy and all that stuff and Kraftwerk. And because that's the first question, because I interviewed a lot of people and I asked him, the first question was, what kind of music you're into? And he was into the same music. And then I got talking and thought, this guy sounds all right. He sounds okay. And then I found out he was one of the two Ians that had met him before on the phone. So I said, oh, you were at the such and such gig the other night, weren't you, with your friend Ian? He went, yeah, that's me. I said, okay. I said, right, okay, you got the job, you're a singer. Just gave him the job.
and obviously, he loved writing and reading. And so did you find when he took the job of a singer, he was automatically then also the lyric writer, or was there still a bit of discussion about that in the early days?
No, there wasn't. No, Ian. Well, we played the instruments, and we needed someone who could write lyrics and sing. And he turned up with a box of lyrics, like a grey paper file cardboard box full of lyrics. So straight away, And then he also had a PA system which he could sing through, and we just rehearsed. And Jesus Christ, Sky, your setup appointment is. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, I can't stop my emails coming in. How his voice sounded and how he could sing, and wasn't really that important at the time because we could only just play. We'd only just learned to string a few chords together. So the big thing was that if we got on with someone, then they could learn to play, and that he could learn to sing. And that's what happened,
In terms of learning to sing, I know that, there are lots of names that we can talk about being influential on Ian, and you mentioned Iggy and the Stooges, etc. But there was also, I've heard you talk before about the kind of Frank Sinatra crooning style, if you like, being a part of that. And were you kind of aware of that at the time, or was that just something that has occurred to you since? Because it's a bit unexpected,
He liked Jim Morrison and the Doors, and Jim Morrison was a fan of Frank Sinatra's. I know because I saw it on TV the other night. Now I know why Ian liked Frank Sinatra, because Jim liked Frank Sinatra. I think Ian's dad liked Frank Sinatra too. Personally, I couldn't get it. And had an hard argument, I think, with Ian about Frank Sinatra one night. But it's just a crooner, what it meant to me was pub singers.
Yeah.
trying to be Frank Sinatra, and it wasn't punk. I think there's a certain logic to it behind that.
Yeah, and obviously the music was very different. So in terms, I've always thought of Joy Division as something very extreme in a way about the band, you know, the music and the lyrics and the performance. And I wondered if at any point, you know, moving on into, you know, 79 and into 80, did you think of yourself as a chart band, or did you always think you were part of some different kind of a world to that?
When we started as Joy Division, the aim was just to make music and to play it live on stage. And I guess the music we listened to wasn't really commercial chart music. So, but once we'd done that with Joy Division and we'd made this sort of extreme left field odd music, then it was like, okay, we've done that, we've proved ourselves, now let's prove ourselves and write some hits. I like a challenge, and let's see if we can do that, you know, and we did.
So you had the idea of kind of coming from that cult extreme world and actually shifting the world off its axis, if you like, and kind of infiltrating the charts in some way.
We just wanted more people to hear what we were doing, you know, and a good way to get across to people is to have your records played on the radio. But it was very difficult to get on the radio because the stuff they were playing on mainstream daytime radio then was pretty bad, you know. And so I don't know. We just changed in a natural way. The way I'm talking about makes it sound very contrived, but we didn't contrive it. We just did it. For example, when we changed the sound from the early days of New Order, from the movement period,
yeah, to
when we went more electronic and more commercial after that, wasn't a contrived bingo, great, I've got a great idea. It was just music allowing us to travel and to experience different cultures, different clubs and whatever. The DJ would play in those clubs. We spent a lot of time in New York, in sort of early warehouse type clubs there. And we found that the DJs in those clubs would play much more eclectic choice of music than they were playing in the UK. In the UK, it was funk or jazz funk or Bowie or Roxy music, and there was no crossover, no, you know. Well, you go to New York, you could hear every one of those styles played by one DJ in the same club in the same night, and that was cool. We just thought it was cool. They play all sorts. Remember, yeah, it was cool. You go in a club, you'd hear stuff off Sugar Hill Records, and you'd hear sort of the black side of music that they made in New York, but then you'd hear The Clash, or you'd hear Soft Cell, and you'd hear a bit of soul music, and then you'd hear some early rap music like Curtis Blow, and early hip hop, you know. So DJ would mash it all up, and I thought that was really refreshing, because music's shouldn't be about being chained or imprisoned by genre. Music's about breaking the rules, not about making the rules, certainly not about sticking to rules.
And is that one of the reasons why, when you did start with New Order, it seemed to me that you put quite a lot of time and distance between that band and Joy Division? I mean, apart from obviously something like Ceremony, it did seem to take a while for you to begin to dip into the Joy Division back catalogue, and you still don't much. And when you do, it tends not to be in terms of, you know, repeating it, but giving a bit of a twist to it. And is that part of the reason? Is that philosophy that you just expressed about moving forward and not being imprisoned?
Yeah, well, Rob kind of said to us, you should, we need to write music off our own backs, or you need to write music off of your own, and you need to make a reputation from your own 2 feet, not off the
back of Joy Division,
not off the heritage of Joy Division and the songs of Joy Division. You need to start again. Year zero. This is year zero. Start again, which was could have been commercial suicide, but by some strange hand of God, hand of fate, it wasn't. And I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think we played any Joy Division songs for the first 10 years. And then we played Atmosphere on May the 18th, 1980 something, and in America. And no one knew the song then. No one had heard of Joy Division. I don't think they'd heard of New Order, but they hadn't heard of Joy Division, because I said, you know, this is the first time 10 years we're going to play a Joy Division song. It's called Atmosphere. Dead silence. Response.
So when you do sing the Joy Division songs, is it difficult for you, or do you just have to kind of detach yourself a little from, you know, the context of them, you know, and the fact that they are Ian's words and that you're singing them, or is that not part of what it's like when you're a singer?
Well, they might be Ian's words, but they're our music, so it feels a part of us. It doesn't feel alien. You know, there's a sense of ownership there. It's not that, you know, it doesn't feel as though they don't belong to us. No, it feels fine, absolutely fine. I enjoy it, yeah. The first time we might rehearse one, and we've never done it before, feels a bit strange. But we'll go through it a few times, yeah. Yeah, no problem with it, no problem.
Because I think the incredible thing about the lyrics is that, you know, it's not just about kind of the ownership of it, but actually also how it resonates with people. You know, the fact that 40 years later, you know, the audience for Joy Division is, if you like, is so huge, and it's international, and there's been interest in this event from, you know, Mexico, Italy, Japan, all over the world. And there's something about the lyrics and the music which connect with people, and that's what music should do at its best, is connect with people. And
yeah, of course. Yeah, of course, as well, there's a very potent story there. The story's almost as interesting as the music, you know. So I think that
it becomes an intriguing thing for people.
Yeah. I mean, obviously in the story, but the way we did things in a different way, and we didn't stick to the rules. We were rule breakers, and a bit rebellious, and I think that appeals to people, and that gets them interested in the music. But it's very interesting to see the way that that music has permeated all around the world of its own accord, without a particular lot of promotion from us, just on word of mouth, really.
Yeah, and in that sense, you're still an underground band. Yeah. You know, it's still about that permeating through and word of mouth. It's not a marketing hype. You're just an underground band who happens to be a huge underground band 40 years later.
It spread almost like a virus.
Bringing us back down to where we are now. Well, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about how, you know, the memories that, you know, especially when you get to our age, you know, we do lose people along the way, and the memories are difficult to deal with. But eventually, I think you have to come to a perspective where, you know, they're not those people that we've lost. They're not ghosts who are haunting us. they're comrades who are inspiring us in a way, and I kind of feel like that's, you know, knowing, you know, New Order and through the Factory family, I think that's one of the things that Ian has done, is continued to inspire everybody.
Yeah, well, it's funny when you think of people from the past that have passed away and that. Well, people on the outside will only see the good points of those people, but the band also remember that they could be arseholes too, and that they made some terrible, shockingly bad mistakes. So we don't view them through such rose-tinted spectacles, as a general public do, and they almost become legendary, you know. We see things in a slightly different light.
Well, I'm going to wrap up now, but I'm just going to dedicate our conversation to Rob and Martin and Tony as well. And thank you so much, Bernard, for joining us. It's been brilliant.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And let's hope this lockdown lifts sooner rather than later.
And we're looking forward to seeing New Order play live next year.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Take it easy. Thank you.